I'll tell you something, this time of year seems to fly around quicker and quicker every year, doesn't it?
I know. And we start planning. The moment the festival finishes, we start planning for the next.
Now tell me, as a sort of an overview now, looking back to the fact that you've hardly had any sleep for the last week or so, Easter Festival Plays, how was it this year?
It's been really good from the point of view of performance. I think the standard was good, very good, and so that was great. And I'm very pleased to say that the number of audience was up. So in my humble opinion, I don't have figures and things like that, but simply looking around at the number of people that were in the theatre, I would say the figures were up. So that's important and very necessary.
It's one thing that's been sort of brought back into the limelight recently with the Mirror Royal and the BBC Two Folk Awards, and it's the value of our, I know they have the modern terms creative industries, but the sort of artistic endeavour on the Isle of Man, it's almost having a renaissance, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the great thing, of course, about the the Manx Festival is that teams come from all over England, but this time we had 3 teams from Europe, would you believe? So that's fantastic because they bring different type of work. You know, we had a team from Switzerland, we had a team from London, Stockholm, and we had a team from Hamburg. So that's really great.
It's becoming a true international festival because, as you mentioned, there's ones that I recognise the name of every year that come back, and they're excellent performers. But the fact that the net is spreading wider is something surely you're wanting to build on.
Absolutely. And I put some of that down to our chairman, Claire Austin, because she came from Switzerland to live in the Isle of Man after her experience in the British All Winners.
Oh, fantastic.
So I think she has connections, but nevertheless, we're really pleased to see these teams because they perform different type of plays. And that's one of the great things about the Easter Festival. You do get an opportunity to see plays that you wouldn't normally see. You certainly wouldn't see them on the commercial stage.
Now, we're going to talk about the Young Actor of Man in a moment, which is a big part of the Easter Festival of Plays and bringing in the next generation. But let's pick and choose and have a look then at some of the awards, the winners, the highlights for you over the week looking back, and the people who walked away with big smiles and maybe people who walked away not very happy, depending on the adjudications. What really stood out for you?
Well, first of all, the adjudicator, because she was really good. A little bit younger than we maybe had before. I'm not sure you can say that now in this politically correct world, but I've said it. And so it was good to have a different adjudicator. And she was very, very interested in, as you'd expect, in the teams, in the subject. And she was very careful to explain everything that she was doing to the audience. So that was good. Highlights for me, well, I thoroughly enjoyed the play called Glorious, which of course is the true story of Florence Foster Jenkins, who was the woman who couldn't sing, but actually hired Carnegie Hall and filled it out 3,000 people. And she was a huge success, but she still couldn't sing.
I was going to say, I think I've seen a movie of that recently. And
that's right.
The story itself is just brilliant. You can't end the story with that smile on your face.
I know. It really was good. And of course, the actress playing the part has to be able to sing off-key throughout the play.
And that is really difficult. I directed A Lower Low at the Gaiety Stage a few years ago, and famously, the wife of René Artois, she's got to sing off key. Really difficult to do. Les Dawson always had to play the piano badly. Really difficult to do.
Absolutely. So that was great fun. We thoroughly enjoyed that. And then we had, now this was an interesting play called The Brontes, and it was written by Polly Teal, and it was all about their life, the 3 sisters, and the fact that their brother was an alcoholic. And I made a terrible mess of his life. I didn't know all that until I saw the play, but it was really clever the way they'd done it. So they kept going in and out of real life and then sort of enacting their novels. So, Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights and things like that. So that was really interesting. The only point that I think one or two audience made was, if you didn't know about her novels and you didn't actually know about her plays, when they kept referring to them, that wasn't necessarily helpful.
It is something that permeates across all arts and entertainment generally, isn't it? That you can either have a work, as in a theatre work, or a mainstream movie that appeals to fans of that work, or it has to be sort of open and welcoming across. It's very rare you can have both, isn't it?
That's right, absolutely. And then on Tuesday we had the first of our Europeans from Switzerland called The Vandal was the name of the play, and that was most interesting. Only 3 people in it, but a really psychological play. Did that really happen? Was that person really there? Was it just in their mind? Really clever stuff. So that was very interesting. And then on the next night we had an Alan Ayckbourn, and called Henceforward. And I have to admit, I'm not a great fan of Eightborn. I've been to lots of them, obviously. But this one was totally different to his usual type of work, insofar as it was written in 1987, but it was all about gadgets in 1987, talking about, phones and computers and all that thing. And he actually made an android in the shape of a woman, and you can imagine it was played by an actress, but it was supposed to be a model. And of course, that's what the whole story was about. Very, very funny. I did thoroughly enjoy it.
It's that wonderful sort of retro look at the future, isn't it? Sort of thing. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, really good. And then the next night we had Joan of Arc. Now this was a history play, so again, you wouldn't normally get too many of these, at the Gaiety Theatre. My only complaint, I suppose is the word, is I was so sorry that there weren't more students there. But of course they're all on holiday. But nevertheless, I still think that there should have been an effort to get more. We had a nice house, but I wish there'd been more students, because this was Joan of Arc in modern terms. It was played in traditional dress, but it was a fresh play. It had been rewritten, and so it was really good, so that when you're at school it's all very sort of dusty and you think, oh gosh, this is a bit boring. This wasn't. This was a modern take on it, and it was absolutely brilliant, really good. And the team were from University Players Hamburg. Really good.
Wow. And I mean, listening to you here, there's been the rich variety of the Easter Festival of Plays is something that year upon year people are never disappointed by. Let's move over to the younger actor of man, because as you mentioned there, one of the most important things is trying to get the next generation into coming with new ideas, new performances. How did that part of the festival go?
Absolutely. And it was great, Alex, because it's been going now for quite some time, and how it works is that in February, when we bring over a different adjudicator for the One Act Play Festival, they also judge the Actor of Man. And so there's about 22, 24 contestants, and they have to choose 8. They're not allowed to choose any more than 8. So on Wednesday of last week, in the afternoon, there were 8 competing for the Best Actor of Man, and the adjudicator was there to tell them. And it was really good. And I was ticking my programme as they were going on. Oh yes, that's definitely one I like. And I realised at the end I'd ticked them all. The standard was really good, really good. But she caught us out, the adjudicator, because at the end, she just came, it was at the Studio Theatre, she just came on stage. She said, wow, I thought this afternoon was really wonderful. And some of them were absolutely on the nose, outstanding. I'm not telling you anything more until Friday night. So we didn't get to know the winner until Friday night.
Oh, that's just cruel. That's a skill of timing and theatre, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Definitely.
So on Friday, she came, and that was the first thing that was awarded, the Young Actor of Man. She said that, as we had realised, it was a very tight competition, and they have to do 2 pieces. So one might be Shakespeare, but the next one would be a contemporary piece. So this, just as she said, it just showed the difference sometimes, and it wasn't always just an equal piece. So the runner-up was a lad called Joseph Long. Very, very good lad. Very good. His own choice was Adolfo from The Drowsy Chaperone, so he sang really good. And then his test piece was a piece by Mike Bartlett. Very good indeed. But the winner was Jack Smollen, and he was very, very good. As she said, his 2 pieces were absolutely spot on, and she awarded him the prize, which is not only Young Actor of Man, which means that he goes away in the summer to an all-expenses-paid week at a theatre stage college. So that's fantastic. That means that they can learn, and of course, as the students have come back over the years, they just say it's just fantastic. And they always praise the Isle of Man and the fact that they had an opportunity to either be in a musical or a play or whatever, and it gave them the necessary background to be able to go, whereas some students come and they've done nothing.
It is a brilliant springboard, the Isle of Man, when it comes to as you say, all the amateur productions that take place at the Gaiety, also utilising the other venues now, such as the Centenary Centre, the Studio Theatre, etc. When it comes to next year, then, Michael, finally, thoughts for next year, apart from maybe getting some sleep in between?
Well, we'll have to start thinking about an adjudicator very soon, and then we'll have to try and think and try and get some of these teams to come back, I suppose. But the great thing about the Young Actor of Man is it isn't just a thing to do as a hobby. It trains them for when they have to audition for work, and that's so important because it gives them the confidence. So that's why Young Actor of Man is so important and why we support it.
Brilliant stuff. Michael, thanks very much for popping in and giving us a bit of an update before you go.
I have to tell you the winners.
Please do.
Right, OK. So we call it the second runner-up, which is really third. And that was the play from Bijou, which was very good, called, what was it called? Not a Game for Boys. This was a play with very strong language, and I'm very pleased to say the audience all stayed in their seats. So the runner-up was Joan of Arc. Beautifully done. 14 young people in it. Very good. But the winner was Glorious, the woman that couldn't sing.